Well, doesn't time fly? We are back to review the latest season of Doctor Who. But first, I have to thank these absolute mad lads, Malcolm Hope and Law Topsy. Thank you guys for supporting the channel and along with my other channel members. As I was saying, it seems like only yesterday we were still seething over that last series finale.
She was pointing out the name of the road. She was naming you.
But we can all agree that season 1 was a huge improvement from what came before. Unless you're part of that anti-woke grifter community that's about to leave a comment on this video saying, "Rest in peace, Doctor Who, 1963 to 2017.
I took the walk, swollen. I took the walk, swollen.
Either way, Doctor Who returned with Season 2, or Series 15. It was filmed back to back with Season 1, and there were some concerns. Were we going to have the same issues that plagued Season 1? Well, that's all up in the air, gang. But when they released the promotional content for Season 2, man, mud downstairs was tingling all over the place, I'll tell ya. It looked like Russell had been saving some bangers for this season, which for some people may be a season too late, but for most, we were frothing at the idea of consuming some absolute belters. But that's what I'm here to find out, whether or not this season was any good or just a stinky pile of mess. And you guys know how we do. We have a tier list ranking from perfect down to the scary depths of god awful. Ugh. I break down every episode, take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I rank them in said little tier list. Are you following? You should do. It's not rocket science, so get a grip. This is some solid content right here, so you should definitely subscribe like right now. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm trapped. I can't move until you press the subscribe button. Like, genuinely, please. 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 Also, smash the heck and flip out of that like button, gang, or I'll start making kissing prank videos. And yeah, nobody wants that. Okay, guys, that's all the waffling out of the way. So let's take a whiz in the TARDIS and take a journey through time and space. I don't know. Enjoy the video, I guess. Ho, 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 my cute little Christmas elves. Don't we all just love a little holiday spirit? I sure do. Get your eggnogs and your Yule logs as we delve into the 2024 Christmas special that is Joy to the World. So, Stephen Moffat has returned, so you know it's about to get all timey-wimey and stuff, and the intro perfectly demonstrates this, as we see multiple different time zones where the Doctor just comes in, he's all like,
ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte.
Ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte? Ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte.
We meet this one-off companion, Joy, who's looking to stay in a hotel for some reason on Christmas Eve. How is there even a hotel available, to be honest? She gets taken to her room and then she just starts chatting with a fly.
Oh, hello. Merry Christmas.
I'm so damn confused.
Stephen Moffat's return is met with another one of his classic tropes. Ooh, there's always a random locked door in the hotel. Why can't we ever access it? Ugh. It's called a maintenance cupboard, Steve. It's where the janitors keep all their shit, but okay, sure. Obviously, it is an interesting concept, as most of us do experience locked rooms in our hotel rooms. But Jiminy Crickets? A Silurian just walks into the room with a briefcase?
What?
Yeah, excellent delivery, that. Woohoo! Welcome to Christmas! So the Doctor has landed in this spacey hotel, and man, I love the set design in this episode. And at first, I was really confused as to why all these people from different time zones were walking around, but it actually turns out it's the guests dressing up in the appropriate attire for the time period they're staying in. That's pretty cool. Also, the addition that the kitchen works 30 minutes in the future is just, it's so wonderfully Moffat, innit? I love that we see the Doctor come out in a dressing gown, just making himself at home. This is where we meet Stylax from Plebs.
Sorry, is that a toilet?
Is it a what?
You've got a newspaper?
And I just really like him in this episode. Whilst we don't get to know him too well, you really do feel for him. His awkward energy and his simple want to just do the right thing and please someone. It's just a cute little sweetie pie, this man. I sure hope he doesn't get game-ended. It does get brought back by some of that, ooh, Doctor forgets he's alone stuff. I'm really not a fan of this. Like, I would get it if he had tragically lost Ruby, but he didn't. They had a perfectly standard and amicable departure. And whilst, yes, he might miss her, I don't see how he keeps forgetting that he's not with her anymore. Do you know what I mean? So there's this spooky little suitcase which the Doctor wants a little slice of, but it turns out that when it transfers ownership, people get Thanos'd. Oh no, Trev.
Oh no, I was on a mission.
Oh, my little heart. My little heart.
I went and let him down.
Oh, man. Why is that so sad? Anyway, so it comes full circle and we're back in the hotel room. Man, what a mess this scene is. There's some really good dry humour.
I'm so sorry. This has never happened before.
But then in typical Moffat fashion, he likes to take a little jab at men.
Oh, this is just men all over, isn't it? Even lizard men.
Oh, I know.
Okay, fine, whatever. There's another really funny joke where Joy assumes there's something romantic going on between the two of them.
And the flesh will
Don't be
rise.
filthy.
Okay, that was pretty good. But the Silurian transfers the case to Joy and then he dies and the doctor starts crying. There's no teardrop yet. No, I saw the teardrop! Fuck! I saw the teardrop! No! Listen, I get it. It's sad. I'm not upset because he's crying again. I'm upset because I've got to drink absinthe. It's my own rules. I did it to myself. Come on, man. You can't cry at that. And you've seen so many people die. But that's just his character. He's just very emotional. I know. I get it. I just want to point out, absinthe, by the way, guys, is 80%. 80%. I'm going to be absolutely pissed after this one. If any of you are going to criticise me in the comments saying, well, that's not a full shot. That's not a full... If he's crying over this, and we're 10 minutes in, I'm sorry, it's going to get a lot worse in it. Ugh. I'm drinking Foster's, out-of-date vodka, and absinthe. Oh, this is going to be difficult. I honestly get that this doctor is more emotional than most. Him crying this early on at a Silurian he's known for literally 30 seconds is just a bit much. It just slows everything down. But it's all good because he literally forgets 5 seconds later. Then the doctor says this.
You were being mansplained by a briefcase.
What? I genuinely think Stephen just has buzzwords that he just likes to fit in to seem like he's like super progressive and stuff, but it just comes across really unnatural. Anyways, there's this proper funky bootstrap paradox sequence, which I absolutely love. The Doctor has to wait a whole year, and it is just a purely wonderful bit of television. A more domestic Doctor is shown working at the hotel. Him using the psychic paper to take people's orders, turning Anita's car into TARDIS blue. It's just a really sweet sequence. And despite us only knowing Anita for a short period of time, this montage does a really good job of establishing their growing friendship, in my opinion. This makes the inevitable departure actually quite sad. The Doctor thanking her for finally getting to experience a normal life for a while, and he genuinely appreciates it. It's just lovely. And I really wanted to see more of Anita. Unfortunately, however, this for me is where the episode just tails off. I mean, the two characters I actually liked have now gone, so yeah, that's good, isn't it? So Vanguard from the Boom episode want to make their own star or something. The Doctor then berates Joy by slating her choice of hotel room, saying it reflects her, despite her not having a choice because she didn't book the room prior.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm going to kill you, give me $200.
Literally, one tweak to the writing here explaining that she booked the hotel room in advance would have made this scene make more sense. Of course, though, it was just a tactic to make her all angry about the fact that Boris was having secret sessions during lockdown. So let's talk about this. This episode is obviously taking a jab at the government for the events during the pandemic. And yes, everyone would agree that what the Tories did during lockdown was absolutely deplorable. And everyone would agree with the point this episode is trying to make. But I feel like this is quite insensitive in a way. If the writing was a bit more nuanced, then maybe I could look past it. Doctor Who has always reflected real life events and tragedies within its stories, but it's done it in a way that makes it its own. This is a very recent and very real thing that happened. And again, I don't think it would be as bad if it wasn't for the last scene. Oh, that bloody scene. Also, having Joy FaceTime her mum with a camera that is definitely not from an iPhone angers me 10 times more. I really hate when TV shows and films do this. It's so fucking annoying. Anyway, the T-Rex sequence is hella cool. It looked pretty amazing, but then after that, the special effects kind of just fell apart. Like, they all look pretty stinky poo-poo. Trev manages to make the Doctor proud, which, yeah, I liked. Very good. But damn, the ending to this episode. Holy schmoly, it's bad. Joy eats the star seed. Look how terrible this looks, man. Look at it. And then Joy does the whole, lad, you need a friend. Yeah, you need a friend. Yeah, Donna's already done that. But basically, she literally commits suicide to be a star. The star that guided the wise men to the little baby Jesus. Yeah, and then she just sucks up her mum. Yeah, what a load of baloney. So, this story I think would have been 10 times more impactful if it was Anita that joined the Doctor in this story. Joy barely reacted to anything that was going on in this episode, whereas Anita, from the short time that we knew her, was very deadpanned and very unfazed and very funny. This actually would have made sense for her character to react this way. And then having Anita save the day in some other way that wasn't this, I think her departure would have been way more impactful. But hey, I can't change what's already happened. I think Ncuti Gatwa did shine in this episode, and he really suits Stephen Moffat's style of comedy. I love the scene in which the Doctor is stuck at the hotel for a year. I would have just loved a whole episode of that, to be honest. But Joy just sucks. Stephen Moffat's reliance on buzzwords and his strange obsession with lesbians. And then the episode looks amazing in some parts and then truly awful in others. And the ending is pretty tragic. It's sad to think that this is Stephen Moffat's last episode of Doctor Who, because he came in strong with Boom, but he is leaving on a bit of a whimper with this one. Guys, I'm putting this episode in stinky. Yeah, I know. It might be a bit harsh, but honestly, I don't think I'll ever watch this episode again. Well, now it's the official start of Season 2, and we are going to be introduced to the brand new companion, Belinda Chandra. No, not Rani Chandra, Belinda Chandra. Ooh. The Robot Revolution. The episode starts in the year 2007, where Incel Caricature adopts a star as a little gift for Belinda, and then we see the super awkward smooch. Oh my god, I'm watching footage of me, I hate it! Cutting to 17 years later, the Doctor is trying to find Belinda, in which he causes a power cut in this hospital. Sorry. Yeah, he's basically just killed a lot of people. But because the RTD2 era doesn't want to give us any time to breathe, it just gets straight into it. The big robots from the Sarah Jane Adventures come crashing into Belinda's house. I will say the idea that Belinda is seen as like this queen because the planet is named after her is actually quite funny. But Belinda just does not seem fazed by this at all.
The cat is irrelevant.
These are behaving like the Jadoons as well. This is Smith & Jones. This is just Smith & Jones rewritten. Also, you just killed a fucking cat. That's a step too far, Mr. Robot Man, and I'm not happy about that. You don't kill you don't kill animals. Well, that's a big no-no. That's a big no-no. Kill people, that's fine. Who gives a shit? You do not kill a cat. These pesky robots, they got a lot to answer for, I tell you. Not sure on Belinda's reaction to this. 2 huge alien robots have just smashed her house to pieces, and she's like, I'm not going to come with you. I'm from Sheffield now, apparently. We then see Mrs. Flood, who is now Belinda's neighbour. Honestly, I'm waiting for the series finale before I make judgments on her, but the fourth wall breaking I cannot stand. For the life of me, I hate it. There's so much fourth wall breaking in this era, it's actually annoying. Belinda gets taken onto the space rocket, where time goes all funky and stuff. But this is when she's brought to Miss Belinda Chandra 1. I absolutely love the sci-fi feel this episode has. It's super bright and colourful. The robots are big, bulky and practical. And it has loads of little funky little gadgets. Polish. But why has Belinda been brought to this planet? Well, she's been brought for an arranged marriage, where she'll be turned into this cyberpunk baddie. Honestly, not against it. I love this every 9th word sequence where the Doctor has to communicate with Belinda, although I will say, iCarly did do this first.
4th of July.
Every 4th.
Word.
Every 4th.
Word.
Yeah, epic space battle! I love it! And a really important character who has had 2 lines of dialogue has been absolutely game-ended. Damn. Don't worry, guys. She got to really quickly explain her and the Doctor's relationship literally 3 seconds before she dies.
He came to us as a stranger, and in just 6 months, I have learned to trust him with my life.
Wow, now her death has more meaning and is super impactful. We see Belinda's job come to use pretty early on in this episode, and it does stay prominent throughout this series so far, which is way more characterization than Ruby got in the entirety of Season 1. I also like that Belinda is very cynical of the Doctor in this episode, which is a great difference to, oh, woo-wee, Doctor, you're so super duper cool and I love you so much. Anyways, after some more moping around, Belinda is taken to the AI generator for her wedding. It's out.
Ow.
What is it? Yeah, this is so goofy. I just think it's the goofy smile that just really took me out, because he actually looks kind of cool and could have been like super threatening.
Planet of the incels.
Yeah, so this episode moves so fast, it barely establishes Al as this incel enough for this reveal to make much sense. Yes, he made a passive-aggressive comment at the start of the episode.
You could fold the paper and save it for later, but never mind. Do you like it? Oh.
Yes.
And now we know that he also plays video games. But this episode comes across more like, haha, Gamer Boy is the subject of ridicule, more than it is like a thought-provoking message on the danger of incel culture. Look, I'm not saying that it always has to be super thought-provoking and nuanced, but at least do a better job of establishing Al as a character before having this big reveal. But that is just a huge prime issue of this era in general. But hey, at least there's this hella cool visual sequence when they touch certificates. But yeah, the day is saved, I guess. I don't know. And I do like the fact that Belinda doesn't want to travel with the Doctor. In fact, she's very against it. And that's just such a fresh dynamic to see. But guys, we can't get a whole series of Doctor Who if it was that simple. Nah, of course not. The TARDIS goes all skits and stuff. And the episode ends with this hella cool, eerie shot. Damn. Consider me intrigued, big boys. So, the positives. Belinda is established pretty amazingly. Her dynamic with the Doctor is fresh and interesting. You get a real understanding of her character, and despite her frosty start with the Doctor, I am intrigued to find out how this relationship with the Doctor will develop. Ncuti Gatwa seems to be really comfortable in the role, and I thought visually, this episode is smexy as hell. The negatives? Yeah, the incel commentary, if you want to call it that, was just a bit shite. The Al reveal was super goofy, and the pacing to this episode is all over the place, man. I just feel like Russell has parked his big bunda right on my face, and I can't breathe, man. Get off me, man. I need some space. But it is a fun episode nonetheless. It does try a few creative things as well for me, so guess what? I think that's alright. So I'm going to be putting this episode in okay. Lux. When the trailer for Season 2 came out, it's safe to say that this episode was the one that grabbed everyone's attention. Now this got me well excited, as well as 99% of the Doctor Who fans. This looks great. Because it is using that exact same sort of filter and animation style as Cuphead. And obviously the earlier sort of Disney-ish cartoons. So this is going to be epic. I'm really hoping they utilise this a lot in the episode. And it does something creative. And this is not just some fancy visual effect that's going to be used in one shot like this one and then just instantly dropped. I really hope this is something quite important and, you know, and is a big focal point of the episode. I hope so. It probably won't, but, you know, we can hope, we can dream. A cartoon Cuphead Disney-style villain? Hell yeah. This episode doesn't take long to get started. Silly man leaves a spoon in the moonlight, resulting in Mr. Ring-a-Ding-Ding becoming a real-life cartoon.
Want to join my free gift card giveaway?
So, whilst the TARDIS is going all skits, Belinda uses this to discuss her family, and the Doctor creates this vindicator thing. They land in 1952, and this is just perfect Doctor Who. The excitement of changing wardrobe, finding something suspicious, and the Doctor's curiosity getting the better of him. This is what me likes. The sequence in the diner is just top notch. The way that racism is addressed is just pure perfection.
I have toppled worlds. Sometimes I wait for people to topple the world. Until then, I live in it. And I shine.
As much as the grifters want to complain about the show being woke, I don't think this show could have addressed racism better than that. Now, whilst it could be seen that the Doctor is sort of shutting down Belinda's concerns, it does make sense in the fact that there's things at stake that are more important than being frustrated with racism at this moment. They then talk to this woman about her son that went missing, and they talk about how the TARDIS brings hope. And I think the dialogue here is just great.
It says police box.
Does that give you hope?
It does, sir.
Hope can change the world.
It's just a top scene. The Doctor promises to find all of the missing people and they break into the cinema. Ta-da! The comedic timing and dialogue in this scene is great. The visual style is great too, and it quickly turns dark.
Because it sounds like this.
We meet the caretaker of the cinema, and luckily Mr. Ring-a-Ding walks super slowly, so it gives enough time for the caretaker man to dump exposition about his backstory and his motivations. I must say though, I love that Mr. Ring-a-Ding manipulated him by letting him dance with his wife. Oh, and visually it just looked amazing. Anyways, Mr. Ding-a-ling then interrupts and the episode starts to get a little bit meta.
animated.
The Doctor and Belinda become animated, and I will say the visual style, again, is pretty fantastic. The over-the-top voice acting, which is reminiscent of an old 60s, 70s Scooby-Doo cartoon, is great. It is very self-aware that in order for a character to be three-dimensional, they need depth, and a character gains depth by being sad. Unfortunately, Russell, there's a little bit more to it than that, but it's clear to me that's how you think that the 15th Doctor is three-dimensional, just by having him cry all the time. Anyway, they manage to escape, and it leads to this fake-out racist sequence in which the Doctor notices continuity error, which I think was pretty cool. Of course, this pissed off the grifters for some reason. You know, show woke and all that. All wokey show, woke show and all that. You would have thought that they would be into the whole Doctor and Belinda being targeted because of their race, considering that's literally their shtick. Anyway, it gets super meta when they enter the living room of Doctor Who fans.
Oh my god. It happened.
And I can't help but think this is a pretty great episode idea within itself, because it does feel a little bit out of place here, but it's a funny sequence and it gives a little decent nod to the fans.
God, you're so annoying.
Lots of people say that.
My criticism is the scene goes on for just way too long, and it ends all emotional and things, and it feels out of place, but it was an enjoyable scene nonetheless. But then Mr. Ring-a-Ding says, "Hey up lad, give me all your regeneration energy, like, because I want to turn into like real boy and that." And then this wonderfully terrifying scene in which Lux starts to transform is just absolutely sensational and just genuinely creepy, and also got me 2 million views, so thanks.
I am real.
Wow. Oh my god. That's horrific. But the resolution to this episode is just the caretaker sacrifices himself and blows up the cinema to expose Lux to the sun, where he becomes absolutely just like mahoosive, and then he just creams himself and just disappears. Murray Gold is flexing his sexy musical numbers. It's just a beautiful little ending. We then go back to that meta-ness with the fans giving their review of the episode.
Though I'd mark it down to a 7 out of 10 because it gave away the ending in the middle.
All right, Russell, I get it. That's exactly what I'm doing. But just because you're self-aware of the issues of this episode doesn't mean I can't knock it down a few points. So, the episode is visually stunning. You can actually tell they were very passionate about this episode, and that is why, hands down, it is one of the best of this era. The pacing is a little clunky, and the meta scene with the fans tried a little bit too hard to be all emotional, and it did go on for a tad too long, and I would have liked to have seen Lux just a little bit more, but I get it, alright? He must have taken up a large chunk of the old budget, and those of you that saw my reaction video to this episode know that it made me hella emotional. Right, listen, I was very hungover, alright, so I was a little bit in my feels, okay? That episode just made me remember how much I love this show. What the fuck is happening right now? This is going to be on YouTube forever, Danny, remember this, you fucking prawn. I love this show so much. It's like... I'm not getting emotional because the episode is really good. We know that anyone that's seen this channel will know that this year I lost my dad, who wasn't a very nice man. But I reflected on the quite fond memories I had when I used to go to his house. He would take my sister in the kitchen, they'd cook together, and I would just sit in the living room basically and watch Doctor Who. That was like my thing. I have such fond memories of Doctor Who because of that reason, because I just loved it at that point. And I don't know why this episode in particular made me feel this way. I don't know. I'm gonna watch it again. I just want to emphasize, I'm not crying because this episode was incredible. I'm not saying that. But I will say, visually, this episode was 10 out of 10. The self-awareness was quite funny. I did enjoy that. I really enjoyed that episode. I love that it tried something quite drastically different, and I think that episode there was a prime example that Doctor Who has so much to offer. If people just stopped being so angry all the time and just remember why they love the show in the first place, I think that was one of the things that kind of, I don't know what this episode did to invoke that, and it's not even necessarily to do with the bit where it recognises the fans of the show. I think it's just the reminiscence of alcohol, to be honest. Oh dear, man. This is on YouTube forever now. But it's nice to remember why I do this channel, and my love for this show will never change. I don't care how much it tries to push your buttons. I don't care how much people hate it. I think even at the end of this, if Doctor Who does go, it goes. My memories of this show have absolutely been a huge part of my life, and it will forever stay that way until I'm 60 or 70, however long I live. I will always look at this show with love, all eras. Despite my qualms. But there's not really anything that I really disliked about this episode. But it's definitely not perfect. So I am going to put this episode in bloody great. The Well. Sequels, most of the time, are something that we always want, but rarely ever need. It was swirling around the old grapevine that this episode was going to be a sequel to Midnight, and if that was the case, this episode would have to be absolutely spectacular. Midnight, along with The Waters of Mars, is my favourite episode of Doctor Who. It is also a story that, quite frankly, doesn't need a sequel, because the story of Midnight is not about the entity itself. The intro to this episode confused me straight off. The TARDIS lands unexpectedly, and the Doctor has no idea where they are, but they come out dressed up exactly the same as everyone else, ready to join in the action. Literally, one line of dialogue could have sorted this. Literally saying, "Oh, we've landed on this ship. I know this one. It requires a specific suit." I know, I'm a natural born writer. It just doesn't make sense. And a lot of fans made their own justifications for this, saying, "Oh, the TARDIS knows, so it prepared its outfits for them, yada yada." But to me, it's just a bit of a cop-out. Anyway, they end up with the space crew, who are currently on a mission to find colonists who have gone all silent. But they don't know what's happened. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very intrigued. And once they infiltrate the base, they find a lot of game-ended people whose bones are all like broked and stuff.
Half of them have been shot. Half of them have been assaulted.
But guys, what the heck in crud could be causing all of this? This innocent, sweet, deaf woman. I think the subtitles on the screen are such a cool little addition. I love how this was implemented. But the fact still remains. This woman killed someone. Why? Hang on, guys. Gotta do some spooky dooky jump scares first. Whoa, what the fuck? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Everyone's...
Mate, I don't like that. Stop. Dude, like, what the fuck? I don't even get scared or nothing. I'm a big boy. You're not pussies, man. Yeah, so obviously we don't fully see the Midnight entity, but for someone who has had to edit this and see this, yeah, I'm not really a massive fan. I wanted it purely to just be my imagination, and now I've got like this vague idea of what it looks like, and I don't like that. So we see footage of the miners freaking out, which leads us to the big epic reveal.
It was called Midnight.
Been here before.
Yeah, and then people just start getting yeeted all over the joint. Belinda then gives the most ridiculous visual explanation of the entity.
If this is Alice, and this is us, and if you go behind it, you die.
I was one...
Wow! Tell us again! So this episode tries to do some of the psychological horror that the original Midnight did, but it just doesn't hit the same. Literally everyone just starts getting thrown around, and to be honest, it doesn't look good. I love that the Midnight entity got into everyone's minds to the point where people just started killing each other or themselves. I'm not a fan of it throwing people around. And listen, I understand it's been 400,000 years, it's probably evolved, but the whole reason the Midnight entity is so iconic is because of how it worked. Same with the Weeping Angels. When you change what makes them so frightening, it loses their fear factor. But that's just my opinion, you know what I mean? There's this strange moment where the Doctor talks to it or something.
He knows my name.
So then the Doctor makes the entity see its own reflection to get it off of Alice's back. Yikes. But then it goes behind Belinda.
You don't think?
He's here.
So Captain Woman shoots her and then goes and throws herself into the well. Yes, just like the episode name. Now, obviously Belinda's fine. And then we get another Susan Twist but not Susan Twist cameo. But holy schmoly, the entity is still alive. What the heck? Okay, so as a standalone episode, this episode's really good. And that's exactly what this should have been. Okay, in reality, this has no correlation to Midnight whatsoever. And to me, it was so blatantly added as an afterthought to generate content. I just don't think it was needed. It could have been any planet and any monster, and in my opinion, that probably would have been more effective. Because the way the entity acts takes away from how the entity behaved in the original Midnight. And yes, technically there's no confirmation as to whether or not this is the same entity, but when you're saying it is the same planet and a sequel to the original episode, it's a clear implication that this is the same entity. I don't know. I personally feel like this was done as a way to make Twitter go into a meltdown instead of actually having real relevance. I think the death scenes are goofy as heck, but I love the premise. The character of Alice was great. The Doctor and Belinda were great. And despite having cheap jump scares, they did make me jump. And all in all, this episode continues a really, really strong start to the season. And at this point, my hope in Doctor Who was restored. So guess what? I'm putting this episode in good. Wow, what a strong start. Let's hope it continues with Lucky Day. This episode starts on New Year's Day 2007, which is super convenient because my intro to my Sarah Jane Adventures Series 1 review opened on New Year's Day 2007 as well. The Doctor Who team clearly love the DTDW YouTube channel. DTDW Easter egg confirmed. Guys, definitely subscribe right now. Let's get to 100,000 million right now. We meet Child Conrad, who we are made to feel sympathetic for because he robs the Doctor of 50 pence and then gets slapped up by his mum.
You're spoiling my night.
And it turns out he runs this little podcast.
Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass P-word. Give me everything you got for this wet-ass P-word.
So Conrad becomes a little cuckoo for the Doctor when he sees him and Ruby chasing down a spooky monster that kept jump scaring me. And Doctor Who and its bloody jump scares. Oh my fucking god. Do you know what it is? It's because it's 8 in the morning. I'm not having this. Right, do you know what? He's been cummed on. I'm sorry. I'm immature, right? Conrad, you might want to look behind you. This spooky sequence is just about how Conrad was following Ruby and then posted her on social media to find her. Average 2025 lad, that, innit? Anyway, throughout the episode, Ruby and Conrad build up a cheeky little romance.
Something. Yes, alien. Oh. Sorry.
Oh my god, Conrad, you little dork. Such a shy, cute guy. I do like the cinematography and the visuals in this episode. It's pretty top-notch stuff. Even the sequence where Conrad just starts greening out. Anyways, after a cheeky little smooch sesh, they decide to go on a trip together to a little village for a sesh with the lads. But things start going all spooky, and then the monsters turn up. Oh my god, no.
Sorry, love. Who put you in charge?
Oh, go and get some fresh air, big man. See what happens.
Unit turn up looking fucking badass. I never know how to say badass, because as an English person, it's very difficult, because if you say badass, it doesn't sound good. But you can't say badass, because then it sounds like you're trying to do an American accent. Do you know what I mean? They look cool, okay? They look cool. But guys, in the biggest plot twist of them all, Conrad is actually just a naughty boy. Wait, what?
You idiots.
What the hell?
Nailed it.
Wait, what?
Exposing the lies perpetuated by Unit.
No way, that is one hell of a twist. You know, it turns out he's a big old meanie pants that doesn't like Unit. Why, you ask? Money? Or something?
You want evidence? I've got plenty of it, so
This
you can...
one's collecting benefits, stealing our taxes while she lies to us.
This did make me LMAO. This did make me XD. I have seen that exact insult so much by the far right when the irony is that they're the ones usually claiming benefits.
Every person employed by Unit. Their names and addresses are on the screen right now.
So Conrad just starts flat out doxing people very publicly. Yep. Because that's just a super legal thing to do. Nice. And it also turns out he lied about his mum dying. Why? Like, what was the point of that? Is that just something to show like he's just a super bad boy or something? I just really don't understand the reasoning behind that at all. In fact, this is where things just really start to fall apart, to be honest. Conrad not only shoots someone, he live streams him holding Unit at gunpoint, all to prove that aliens don't exist, despite him knowing that they do. Surely if he just wanted power and money, he would have just kept spreading misinformation, not commit a series of serious crimes expecting not to be put in prison. We then see Kate just lose her shit.
Don't you dare point a gun at her!
So in order to prove that aliens exist to Conrad, Kate releases the shriek. And sure, it's a cool little tense sequence. It even bites his arm. I wonder what the live stream looks like. Everyone's just spamming donos right now. The world is woke. The world is woke. Oh, the Vlinks is dipping. Not having any of this shit. This is what happens when you talk shit about the Brigadier, Mr. Conrad. Wait, this is one gripping live stream. Shit in hell. Right, enough's enough. You proved your point now, Unit. Unit, do the right thing. Oh my god, Kate's lost it. Okay, well done, Ruby. As much as I want to see that knobhead get absolutely eviscerated, they did the right thing.
Go to hell.
She told him to go to hell, though.
These two special effects are improving.
It then ends with this sequence of the Doctor getting all pissed off with him. It gives him a little speech about grifters spreading misinformation, and then goes on to tell Conrad how he'll perish.
You die in a prison cell until your heart packs in age 49, alone and unloved.
Yes, it is kind of a cool moment because we've not had a lot of scenes where the 15th Doctor gets genuinely angry, which is something that has definitely been missing from this era. But it feels more directed at the audience more than anything. Oh, and then Susan Twist 2 appears again just to tease Conrad's return. And listen, I would be like, oh snap! But there's one huge problem, and you all watching probably know what that is. What is this character aside from a satirical caricature of a right-wing grifter conspiracy theorist? Like, I don't understand anything about him. How did he go from getting slapped up by his mum to lying about her death and becoming a conspiracy theorist? Like, it's really not clear. Is his and his mum's relationship good then? Is it just clout that he wants? But if it was clout, why did he commit such stupid crimes so publicly? I don't know, it just seems like after the epic twist, the episode didn't really know where to go. And don't get me wrong, the episode does a good job of making me hate the guy, but I just don't understand why he has become this. Like, what is the bigger picture here aside from power and money? Literally none of his character really makes sense other than online conspiracy theorist grifters equals bad. The visuals in this episode are good. Millie Gibson was also good. And it was also nice not to see the Doctor crying. And I guess the alien designs were pretty neat in my opinion, and it wasn't boring. The first 25 minutes of the episode I quite enjoyed. But more of that social commentary stuff that just isn't nuanced in any way. It just makes the characters feel completely two-dimensional. Which I thought Russell T Davies knew all about, but apparently not. Anyway, I'm putting this episode in okay. The story and the engine. I'll be straight up with you guys. This episode is just boring. And I know there's a lot of defenders of this episode who are about to type in my comment section talking about how TikTok brained I am and that I can't appreciate good TV, yada yada. But let me just explain. Just hang on a minute, right? Just hold your horses. I distinctly remember watching this episode thinking, damn, this feels like a Chibnall episode. And it turns out it was supposed to be. So the Doctor is friends with these lads in a barbershop, and the Doctor explains it's his favourite place to go, and he enjoys listening to their stories, and yeah, that's very nice. So when he visits them to find a bunch of missing posters, things get all meta and strange. It turns out that they're all being trapped by this new barber who's powering this ship on a spider with the power of storytelling. Yeah, it sounds fucking nuts. It's an incredibly imaginative concept, right? And there is some really beautiful visuals in this episode, despite them kind of just giving up halfway through. But premise good, visuals good, so why do I not like this episode? Well, you can quite literally play any part of the episode at any random point and it will be someone dumping lore or exposition. It's a whole lot of standing around and explaining and not a lot of anything else. Take these guys, for instance. They quite literally sit and explain what they were meant to be doing instead of being here in this barbershop. And then they spend the rest of the episode chilling in the background doing bugger all, basically. Like, if you took these lads out of the episode and just had this mysterious barber man and the Doctor, the episode wouldn't have changed all that much. But the thing that really put me off this episode is this shot here.
I was a fugitive back then. I was busy in a different story.
Now, before you just start calling me a Chibnall era hater, I want to emphasise that this little cameo sums up pretty much everything wrong with this era in a nutshell. So we know that this woman is angry with the Doctor because she met the fugitive Doctor before, but we don't see any of it, so it just doesn't really mean anything. Instead of having Joe Martin doing this pretty pointless cameo, why not do a flashback with this woman and the fugitive Doctor, establishing why she was annoyed with her? No, instead spend the budget on Interstellar Song Contest and have Joe Martin do a pointless teasing cameo about how she may come back one day.
I was busy in a different story that might be finished one day.
It just sort of comes across like this conflict was only written as a way to have Joe Martin appear to make people go skits on Twitter than it actually have any importance to the overall plot. However, if this episode aired in the Chibnall era, it would have made a million times more sense. Another thing is, this new era is supposed to be a reset. So with all these bloody returning characters and villains we've had, and then coming off of the back of a Midnight sequel, to then have the fugitive Doctor stand there and say, I was busy in a different story, which might be finished one day. Although, let's be honest, it probably won't, because most people are completely against this incarnation of the Doctor in the first place, and the last thing Doctor Who needs to do is to turn away more of its viewers. This just must be so confusing to anyone new watching this show. It's more of that, let's generate more epic content and epic Twitter moments, and overall it adds absolutely no value. Even the resolution in which the Doctor just shows all of his past faces again. Like, seriously, we get it. Let go of the damn past, man. This episode just failed to get my tingles tingling, you know what I mean? It was so boring that I was fighting for my life not to have my eyes just glaze over everything that was happening. And after I watched it, I went to Twitter to see Doctor Who fans saying it was the best episode of Doctor Who ever made. Just left me baffed. I personally have no interest in ever watching this episode again. So, ladies and babies, I know a lot of you will disagree with me on this, and I get that most of you love this episode. And whilst I don't think this episode is stinky, I don't think it was really okay either. It's more of just a not for me episode. But unfortunately, I don't have that in my tier list, so I'm going to have to put it in stinky. I'm sorry, guys. The Interstellar Song Contest. Oh boy. I know some of you have been clenching your booty cheeks for this one. I saw a lot of criticisms on this episode because of how camp and cheesy it was. And the thing is, it's an episode based on the Eurovision Song Contest. Cheesy and camp is part of its charm, man. I was really excited when they announced that Graham Norton was going to be in the episode, because I thought this episode was going to have some of his hilarious witty commentary during some of the performances. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. The episode starts with Rylan getting ready to host the song contest, and I really liked the inclusion of him. The idea of him being frozen for hundreds of years just to host the Interstellar Song Contest is quite funny. The conversations between the Doctor and Belinda in the pod is authentic, and I'm genuinely starting to believe in their budding friendship. And the visuals of the arena are absolutely stunning. Hey, I was ready for a fun, light-hearted episode, especially after the story and the engine, and it sure as hell started off that way.
Hi.
Oh dear. So of course, at this point it's unclear who this kid guy is and what his motives are. However, this next sequence is fucking awesome. Kid pulls lever thing and the arena turns a dark red with this harrowing alarm sound. Shit is about to go down, gang. And down the shit goes when we get, in my opinion, the best shot ever in Doctor Who. Holy guacamole, that is horrific. The fact that it cuts from those super loud alarms to this eerie, quiet shot of all of the audience just drifting out into space. Holy moly, what a shot. Belinda is panicking because how the hell is she gonna get home? Thank you. I love scenes like this where the companion enters a sudden realisation of, holy schmoly, the universe is not all sunshine and rainbows, and I'm actually like really far away from my house. And I put all of my trust into this mysterious man who can quite literally take me anywhere and anywhen. Big yikes. I love the idea that there is no way to contact the outside world because gambling laws. Genius. Call me an old fart. I fucking hate this Duggadoo thing. I hate it. No. So the Doctor's drifting through space. He's about to freeze when all these strange premonitions of Susan come into his head.
Go back. Go back. Grandfather.
And damn is hindsight sometimes an awful thing. At the time this episode aired, I was stoked because it's clear there's obviously some intention behind it. Obviously now we know that it actually comes to nothing. Yep, it's now just another thing Russell brought back into this fresh start for the show. The Doctor grabs one of the confetti cannons and blasts himself back. It's proper camp, which of course the episode is very self-aware of.
Did I just fly through space on a confetti cannon? Yeah. Camp.
So Kid's plan is to commit one of the most heinous crimes in Doctor Who history, wiping out 3 trillion people with this delta wave. And the Doctor is really not happy about it, so he threatens to quite literally game end Kid.
And I will stand and watch you freeze to death.
This continues on from his anger that we briefly see in Lucky Day, which again I was stoked for. At this point in the story, the Doctor has little knowledge of Kid's backstory, so his anger at Kid for doing something so cataclysmic is understandable. This is where it then gets revealed the true story behind the Hellions. So let's discuss this. The Hellions are a race in which their world has been destroyed and harvested by an evil corporation. And as a result, the Hellions have been villainised. And this Kid guy is out for revenge as he's just doing what's expected of him. Now, most people watching this episode drew parallels with the current Israel and Palestine conflict, and it's safe to say this rubbed people up the very wrong way. I think the biggest issue with this episode is you have a victim of genocide also being the villain of the episode, which some would argue, hey, that's a pretty understandable motive for someone to become a villain. The problem with this example is this Poppy Honey Corporation thing is not in the episode. They're merely just shown in adverts. And because of this, there's absolutely no consequences for them whatsoever. We never know if they were punished, if they were brought down, if the Hellion planet is still under occupation. We'll never know. Now, do I think the writer was intentionally going for what looked like Israeli propaganda? No. Do I think the torture sequence with the Doctor is meant to represent Palestinians? No. Do I think the timing of this episode was horrendously poor? Yes. And do I think the politics of this episode are atrociously executed? Yes. And this was something that I didn't fully clock onto until I rewatched the episode and then did some research for myself. It seems to be that this episode was trying to put out a message that everyone should be united and love conquers all and racism is bad, which in and of itself is not wrong. However, having a Hellion sing a song to a crowd of likely Hellion racists who were just sucked into the vacuum of space and almost murdered by a Hellion just doesn't really work. Now let's go back to the sequence with the Doctor when he starts electrocuting Kid. Also, the sonic screwdriver is just insanely overused in this episode. It's really quite annoying. So the Doctor loses his cool, and this is a very morally conflicting sequence. The Doctor only knows that this guy's intention is to end the lives of 3 trillion people. So he's absolutely lost it. I myself would think, yeah, that's a valid reason to absolutely crash out. And the reason that I interpreted this sequence so differently is because he mentions having ice in his heart, which, going by the term having a cold heart, usually refers to someone who lacks empathy or sympathy towards others. So I thought that was the narrative they were going for here, because every time the Doctor has lost his cool, there has been consequences. We've seen it with the 10th Doctor in the Time Lord Victorious arc. We've seen it with the 12th Doctor in his Am I a Good Man arc. But in this episode, there is literally no consequences for the Doctor doing this. It was hard to criticise this at the time of this episode airing because the consequences usually come in a future episode. However, we now know what happens and there was definitely no consequences. Belinda simply walks in and the Doctor goes, oh, oopsie poopsie, big L moment, right? And all is forgotten. So Kid has been stopped, and then of course, because modern Doctor Who loves bringing everyone back from the dead, everyone's just brought back with this happy-go-lucky copyrighted song and everyone just goes back to acting like normal. Not at all traumatised or wanting to go home, no, just instant memory loss. This is when we get to chorus song in which everyone realises racism is bad and the episode ends all happy, until we get Graham Norton appearing just to dump some exposition.
Poor old Earth died many years ago. Cause? Unknown.
Psych! Not before we get this crammed in sequence of the Rani reveal, which is yet another bi-generation. Again, at the time, I was stoked because having 2 Ranis was insanely exciting. But joke's on me, I should have known not to have gotten my hopes up. Also, when I rewatched this episode, I realised how funny it is that the Rani is doing her big return speech to these 2 guys who have absolutely no idea who she is or what is actually going on. Also, how did Mrs. Flood's brainstem freeze to the point of death, yet everyone else survived no problem? Yeah, this just makes a whole bunch of sense, this one. I've come to realise how much this epic reveal didn't work. Like, I know who the Rani is, so sure, I can be excited by it. But again, isn't this era supposed to be a reset? So the new audience and a large amount of new viewers won't know who the Rani is or what she's about. The Utopia Master reveal works so well because the whole of the Russell T Davies 1 era focuses on the Doctor's loneliness, him being the last of the Time Lords, and how impossible it was for there to be another Time Lord. And we also had that Yana teasing throughout the series that was genuinely shocking when it was revealed. So this just doesn't work. This is the one episode that I reacted to that my opinion so drastically changed upon a rewatch, and that's mainly because I was feeling so good about the series to this point, as well as being insanely optimistic for the finale. I was effectively blinded by the glaring issues, and this is something all Doctor Who fans experience at some point or another, and I also think this is why the result of the season finale made me feel so unbelievably low. If I can sum up this episode in one word, it's inconsequential. There is absolutely no consequences for the corporation, there's absolutely no consequences for the Doctor's actions, and the entire audience of this Interstellar Song Contest just go back to acting like nothing happened. So ultimately, what happened in this episode was completely pointless. Whilst I still think some people drastically negatively overreacted to this episode, I totally see why this episode is so vastly disliked, and I can totally see where people are coming from with their views on its politics. Whatever this episode was going for was so poorly executed. Graham Norton was absolutely wasted. The actor who played Kid made me cringe. How did Rylan exactly end up being frozen, by the way, if the world ended? It doesn't matter. It's Rylan, isn't it? And Sing a Song is a lousy way to wrap up an episode in which its themes are so prevalent and substantially dark. I think the visuals in this episode are really great, and the only difference between this episode and Kablam is that the Doctor isn't actively sucking off the gonads of the corporation, telling everyone how much he loves them. This episode is going in stinky. Wishworld. It's time for a good old series finale two-parter. You guys that watch my channel know I'm a sucker for a first part to a season finale, specifically a Russell T Davies series finale first-parter. Hey, I even like The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which most people didn't, I know. I like having the excitement and the tension built up, giving me some big old blue balls having to make me wait till next week before seeing the next episode. And Russell has always been great at doing that. It's just his actual finales that have a tendency to let you down. But I usually can take a safe bet when it comes to the first part, because they're usually more dialogue heavy in a way that dumps exposition without it being tiresome exposition dumping. So let's hope this episode is definitely not that. So the episode starts with the Rani going to Bavaria to kidnap a baby, and then she massacres the entire family, but in that charming Doctor Who family friendly way, turning them into ducks. That's cute. Am I right in understanding that now members of the Pantheon can just be born like normal humans? Man, I really just don't understand how this Pantheon works at all. There's been so much, guys, look at this hella spooky giggle thing that everyone in the Pantheon does. Doesn't that get you all like spooked out? That they actually forgot to explain how the Pantheon actually works. I mean, Lux come from the moon and a spoon. It's so ridiculous, man. The episode is set in Conrad's dreamland of a 1950s looking dystopian conservative world. Now, whilst I'm glad to see the return of John Smith, we vaguely get to see his and Belinda's life as a married couple with their space baby Poppy, who is just the cutest, by the way, before Ruby turns up at the door and can for some reason just remember everything. How does she remember, you ask? Doesn't matter. How does she know where to find John Smith? Doesn't matter. How does she end up here? Guys, it doesn't matter, okay? The plot has got to move forward, okay? So fleshing out super important details like this is irrelevant, because we want to see Rani fly on her Y-Flicker scooter!
The Y-Flicker Carver is a whole new way to ride. Unlike anything else out there. High-performance casters for faster propulsion and top speed. New Flex technology allows extreme carves, drifts, and insane 360 spins. The Y-Flicker Carver from Yvolution.
We see this Wishworld in full effect when we see the blatant homophobia.
You're a beautiful man. Was that supposed to mean? No.
We also see Belinda experiencing the misogyny of Conrad's world when she's just meant to be a good wife and mother and forgets the birth of her own child. This is where she then randomly runs into a forest and just starts screaming. I honestly don't understand why she does this. She's had one flicker of doubt and she's in the forest screaming. I don't. Also, I love that this sequence with the Rani being all dramatic on her scooter was because she went shopping for some pastrami so Conrad can have his little sandwich. Ruby gets taken to a camp of all of Conrad's undesirables of society, where the homeless and the disabled are left and forgotten. And I really like this as a premise. We even see Thari showing off their masterful acting chops. But this scene is literally just exposition around who Conrad is, and like how he's a super bad man, which we already know.
Conrad Clark is a monster.
What is he? Man, I didn't even get that. Maybe we should just talk some more about it and then I might actually understand and get the message. This ultimately leads to them coming up with this plan to take down Conrad, which leads absolutely nowhere, by the way. It's absolutely pointless. They somehow pull out a fully charged unit iPad that miraculously has access to everything, just for them to seemingly be crushed at the end of the episode. So the Rani's plan is to make the Doctor start doubting so they can accelerate their scheme of bringing back Omega. And the Doctor's doubt is emphasised by having Rogue pop up on the screen telling the Doctor that he loves him. What? Honestly, I still and will always stand by it. This so-called romance is one of the most laughable, rushed and forced things I've ever seen. Go on, get in my comment section and call me homophobic, because that's apparently the only cope for the Rogue defenders. Honestly, this whole thing just made no sense. How Rogue just appears from the pits of hell? Please. What doesn't make sense to me is that this era is so hell-bent on nostalgia that having nostalgia bait in this sequence would have actually worked. Having an old companion or an old face turning up to remind the Doctor of who he actually is, that would have actually warranted some nostalgia bait, not some useless flashback or return of a Doctor out of the blue. Rogue's cryptic clue is
tables don't do that,
referring to the mugs falling through the table every time someone experiences some sort of doubt. And that is honestly a really interesting concept. And even at the start of the episode, you see bins outside of all of the houses to collect the broken mugs, subtly showing that everyone is experiencing doubt. That's a nice little bit of detail right there. Belinda's doubt is focused on quite a lot in this episode, leading the audience to believe that she'll be the next person to understand that this world is wrong and maybe she could help the Doctor realise himself. No, instead she just stabs him in the back and has Rani's bitch take him away, only for her to be taken away as well. Like, it absolutely just shits on Belinda's character. We already know that she's quite a cynical person and likes to question and confront things when they're wrong. And it ends 3 seconds later with them apologising to each other and being all lovey-dovey again. Anyway, so the Doctor and Belinda have been taken to this bone palace, which looks fucking awesome, by the way. But it leads to one of the most horrendously drawn out sequences of the Rani explaining who she is and telling the Doctor who he is, and he's all like, nuh-uh. And honestly, it seriously just goes on for about 10 minutes. Like, Doctor, you were already having doubts, man. Like, get on with it. Russell also writes in this super hilarious self-aware line.
Because this isn't just exposition, Doctor.
Russell, this isn't clever writing here, mate. It's you making up for the fact that you've just realised that 90% of what you've written is just pure exposition. The Rani reveals the big return of Omega.
Omega.
Long live Omega.
And sure, the sound design here is absolutely epic, but this will mean absolutely nothing to a new audience. But ultimately, that's the epic cliffhanger this episode leaves on. Holy schmoly, that was a mess. The Ruby subplot is just completely pointless. Like, seriously pointless. We should have seen the red flags in this episode with Belinda's character assassination, because damn, she was sidelined and effectively pointless as well. This episode has not just brought back one returning Doctor Who character from the classic era, but it's also teased Susan and Omega. Who is Russell writing this for? He has clearly completely lost the ability to take time with characters and reintroducing them, because it's gone to the Chibnall era levels of just having characters standing there talking about it instead of actually fleshing anyone out. The over-reliance on flashbacks in this episode are just laughable. Seriously, this episode is just 50% flashbacks. It even does flashbacks to the same fucking episode. There is so much convenience, like having the unit iPad just coming into existence, and Ruby just remembering everything for some reason and turning up at the Doctor's door. Murray Gold's clearly trying with all of his might to carry this episode on its back, and it does bring this episode up ever so slightly. The sound design is great as well. The Bone Palace and the Bone Dinosaur things look really cool, but the dynamic between the two Ranis just makes no sense whatsoever. How are you going to have Mrs. Flood teased for 2 whole seasons with her constant fourth wall breaking, which is never explained, by the way?
Never seen a TARDIS before.
No, fuck off. No. Just to have her abused by the other Rani and to have her making sandwiches for Conrad. Like, are you okay? No. This did not fill me with confidence for the finale, I tell you. This episode is going in stinky. The reality war. Damn, the last 3 episodes haven't gotten my juices pumping, and that last episode has put a little doubt in my mind. I'm really hoping we don't get a repeat of season 1. There were very strong rumours that Ncuti Gatwa would be regenerating in this episode, however it wasn't quite confirmed. So this was a huge thing playing on my mind throughout watching this episode. And of course, I took a trip to the cinema to watch this episode. And I will say, Wishworld is actually kind of better in the cinema than watching it from home. But that lingering thing in the back of my brain just saying, please don't let me down, please don't let me down, please don't let me down. Hey guys, remember that super duper epic cliffhanger? Yeah, forget it, it's just resolved within 20 seconds, you're welcome. Haha. Wow, thank God Anita returns from the Christmas special to save the Doctor from inevitable death with her magic door. Wow, how lucky. Yeah, there's even more fan service when she opens all of these doors to the Doctor's past. Holy schmoly, a Matt Smith and not David Tennant flashback? That's epic.
I've got the house key. I can open the door anywhere.
Yeah, so just remember that, guys, when you're next gooning, you might look up and find Anita just stood there. Anita's only purpose in this episode is to hold open a door. That's just great, innit? That's just great. The Doctor just epically changes into his outfit, although where he got this outfit from makes no sense. Weren't you just wearing trousers, man? Whatever. Anyways, unit gets reset. Oh, great. Rose is back. Why? Why are you there? So, these two realities are colliding, and it turns out Poppy is real. Wow. And then Kate wakes up all of her sleeper agents. I like how they had to do that off screen. What a pointless joke that was.
I'll do anything for you, mistress.
Don't say that.
Mummy?
Serve olives at those dimples.
Yes, please, mummy. I mean mummy. I mean mummy. We then get an 11-minute scene of even more exposition explaining who the Rani is. Oh my god, we get it. She's bad, man. Even Mel is just here to say, the Rani is a super duper mini pants, actually. Yes, I'm not a fan. Great. Thanks, Mel. And then the Rani shows up and explains how she survived and how the Time Lords are now sterile or something. Okay, this is very evidently just Russell's lousy way of explaining away bi-generation. Cool. And this scene has some of the worst blocking I have ever seen in a TV show in my entire life. This is where the episode starts to shift its focus to Poppy. Yes, the baby from Space Babies. Okay. They agree to put Belinda and Poppy in this box to protect them. Oh, okay. See you later, Belinda, I guess. Yeah, you're not at all important. Get in that box. The scene is somewhat picked up when the Bone Beasts come to attack the unit tower. Honestly, I'm a little sucker for these epic sequences. Seeing the unit tower rotate as the weapons come out, damn, I thought it was pretty epic. Hey guys, let's just stand around and quickly introduce convenient technology whilst these bone dinosaurs are shooting down the building. That's an excellent idea. Let's do that.
Oh, I tricked her.
Copied her coding.
Yeah, the Doctor gets on his flicker scooter and I love this bit. When the Doctor just occasionally turns into an action hero briefly, yeah, it's pretty badass.
Just shut up and go!
Ugh, man, Ncuti was so wasted. Oh guys, brace yourselves for this. Omega is returning. What the fuck? Yes, I kid you not, that is actually how they get rid of the Rani in this episode. We've just had an 11-minute sequence explaining who the Rani is just to have her munched. Mrs. Flood then does a terrible Two Ronnies reference and just dips. That is heckin' right, guys. 2 seasons worth of cameos, cringy fourth wall breaking, just for the Rani to be munched by a crusty skeleton. This is the point in the cinema where I realised,
we have a problem. We have a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we have problems.
Hey guys, do you remember when Russell T Davies said he changed the look of the sonic screwdriver because it looked like a gun? Oh, okay, yeah. So that's Omega sorted, wow. And just as a little sweet little cherry on top of the cake, Ruby wishes for Conrad to simply be happy. This is where he gets a lovely sweet ending where he was just this misunderstood guy and now he's just super lovely. In a matter of 2.5 minutes, they somehow defeated and removed all 4 villains from the episode. I remember thinking in the cinema, hey, there's no way this episode is nearly finished. It's only been 30 minutes. And half of that was spent in the unit building, standing around chatting. Well, don't worry, guys. We've still got 35 minutes to go, yeah? So Belinda and Poppy are fine. They then ship the Wishworld baby off to Carla. And then there's the scene in the TARDIS in which Ruby notices the coat getting smaller and smaller, which was very interesting. It's a clear indication that something is still very wrong. And then it just goes on to more of this, Poppy isn't real, but is real, but isn't real, but is real. And it just goes on for ages. We then get one of the worst lines of dialogue in the show's history.
Sometimes I think we're all your children.
I think Murray Gold's music is one of the most integral parts and factors as to why the reboot of this show was such a success. But no matter how loud you make his music in this scene, it's not touching or moving in any way. The Doctor then says a line that confirmed the lingering thought in the back of my brain.
Oh man, I like this face.
Oh, he's actually going to regenerate. So he has to reset reality and uses his regeneration energy to do so. Damn, the Doctor is really that powerful that he can just do that. Do you remember when the show was simply about a guy travelling in a box? Yeah, forget that now. And of course, we have to see all of the Doctor's previous faces again. It's not like they did that in literally the last episode already. No, we'll do it again. And then we get a surprise cameo from the 13th Doctor. Why? Now listen, I am always happy to see a Doctor return, even if it is the 13th Doctor. But it's just pointless. If you're gonna do fan service, have him visit the Guardians of the Edge again, because that would actually make sense. But yeah, he uses his regeneration energy and the screen goes all cracky and stuff. This is when we get the scene that is the ultimate nail in the coffin, Belinda's character assassination. I felt so uneasy throughout this whole scene, because the way this was shot and the way Belinda's character had been completely reset made it feel as if reality was still very wrong. But no, Belinda is just a single mother now, and the companion that actually joined the Doctor has been wiped and reset. Forget your career and who you were before, Belinda. You have now become the exact thing the last episode was satirising. What an awful ending to a companion this was. They say their goodbyes and the Doctor heads back to the TARDIS. Is he going to say goodbye to Ruby? Nah, fuck her, that's not needed, is it? Nah, we just left her in a state of pure panic. We don't need to say goodbye to her. So after that goodbye and all of the cheap fan service and Russell's aim to revive the show and move the show forward, we are reintroduced to... Jesus Christ. The more I think about this, the angrier I get. Now, as I will always say, I'm never against a former actor returning, as long as it's within reason. This is the latest and most ridiculous stunt from Russell T Davies in an attempt to generate content. And as a result of this, they've shot themselves in the foot, because now they're frantically trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do with it. I initially tried to defend the episode's strange ending due to last minute changes and Shooty leaving. I can understand it was probably pretty frantic. However, just leave it open-ended, man. Russell seems to have indulged in his own fan fiction than actually doing anything that makes any sense. And to leave Doctor Who on that horrendous sour note as the future of the show is still up in the air is insulting. This episode is tragic from start to finish. It is so lazily written. Every plot thread in this episode was wrapped up so poorly. How is anyone supposed to take it seriously? The only thing I liked about this episode was the Doctor on his little flicker scooter. I distinctly remember that I could feel my optimism and excitement slowly draining from me as this episode went on. It took me a month to fully comprehend this episode, and it's why this video has taken so long to come out. Everything about this episode is a disaster. The character assassination, the lazy fan service, the terrible resolutions, Conrad getting a happy ending despite being one of the most flat characters of the entire era, whose only purpose was for you to hate him, is just laughable. This episode genuinely hurt me, man. It's nothing like I've ever experienced with this show. Man, I am putting this episode in god awful. Well, there you guys have it. That is my season 2 tier list. It's completely understandable as to why Ncuti left, but man, he was the definition of wasted potential. He had moments where he shone, but more often than not, he was absolutely wasted or let down by the writing. Ncuti did what he could, and I thoroughly enjoyed him. He had an absolutely infectious energy and sass that just worked well for him. Ncuti is a great comedic actor, but having him cry one scene to being sassy bad bitch the next just made it impossible to relate to him sometimes, and this is purely the fault of Russell T Davies and not Ncuti Gatwa. The start of this series was a glimmer of hope, a realisation that the show still has something within it. Lux was a massive success. Mr. Ring-a-Ding went absolutely viral and was being shown to non-Doctor Who fans. This just showed that when Doctor Who does something original and creative, it can still attract new people. To then follow it up with a Midnight sequel, which was good, but relied on the show's past when it really didn't need to then just digress into even more fan service and reliance on its past, absolutely destroyed this series. The endless bringing back old characters and old villains that most people have very little knowledge on completely alienated anyone new watching, and oftentimes left long-term fans scratching their head. What's going to happen with Susan now? Probably nothing. What was the point in teasing the fugitive Doctor? And what's going to happen with her? Probably nothing. What's going to happen with Rogue and that love story? Probably nothing. What was the point in the Mavity thing? What's happening with that? Probably nothing. We had Davros, brought back and changed. We had the Toymaker, brought back and changed. We had Sutek, brought back and changed. We had Omega, brought back and changed. And most of them not for the better. Does that sound like a show that's trying to reset and move forward? No. How can a TV show with this premise have so many creative possibilities be reduced to this convoluted, self-congratulatory, inconsistent drivel is absolutely beyond me. This show has seen a dark last 10 years, but man, have I stuck with it. But that series finale was a seriously harsh slap in the face, telling me, what the hell am I doing still standing by this? This era was genuinely like being in a toxic relationship, being gaslit into thinking things are going to be good, to then being insulted the following week, being constantly lied to about what's actually going on, and at some point enough is enough. I'm not trying to make this dramatic and all about wah me, but also wah me, man. And out of all of this, I am left genuinely hurt by a man that I looked up to so much. Russell's thought process throughout all of this was evidently just, hey, whatever generates content. And to be fair, Russell's achieved that, except this time it was mostly bad content. Him constantly making strange creative decisions because he thinks it will be marvellous or absolutely fabulous, or because it's been in his head for a while and he's not actually thinking about whether or not it makes any sense. It's just become a thing of fan fiction, and man, it's just sad. Gone are the days of compelling stories with brilliant character writing, all of the things that Russell T Davies is very well known for. Everything that made his first era such a success, he did not bring into this era. Gone are the days of Yana, Bad Wolf, the bees disappearing, to having lazy cheap cameos from a pensioner leading to absolutely nothing. In fact, he loved it so much, he did it twice! In the exact same way! Man, I've stood by this show through everything. Coming back week in, week out, overly defending it sometimes, being purposely ignorant to some of its flaws simply because of the impact this show had on my childhood. And the fact that Doctor Who has been a comfort for me my entire life. As I enter my mid to late 20s, I have watched the last remaining element of my childhood be stripped and effectively destroyed. And because I'm a complete mug, I will stand by it and I will come back simply because I love and I care about this show. Maybe I just need to speak to a therapist. But Russell, I have been angry at people, I've hated people, I have lost people, but I have never ever been so genuinely let down by someone I admire so much. And as dramatic as that sounds, that's just how I feel, man. I don't want to talk about this era anymore, and I think I'm done with it. I want to go back to talking about Torchwood, Sarah Jane, and just the times in which people clearly cared about the Doctor Who universe and weren't putting all their energy in scoring points over their haters and writing nonsensical fan fiction. I'm done. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was a challenge to make and I put it right down to the wire. I gave myself a deadline for this video because if I didn't, this video would never have come out because I just didn't want to make it at all. And I know to anyone that isn't a Doctor Who fan, they're gonna think I'm being way dramatic and over the top, but that's fine. I don't expect most people to understand why this affects me so much, but I know a lot of you watching this video will relate to how I'm feeling, and that's exactly why I made this channel, to speak about how I feel about Doctor Who. I love this show to bits, but man, it is getting tiresome. But hey, the show's on a pause. I don't know for how long, to be honest. I'm not complaining. We've still got the War Between the Land and the Sea to come yet. Don't know if that's going to be any good, but I'm definitely not getting my hopes up. Now I'm going to get started on my Torchwood Series 2 video, okay? Let's get back to some good times. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you massively. And I want to say a huge thank you to my channel members for supporting the channel. You guys are incredible and I appreciate you so much. And of course, those of you that have liked and subscribed as well, I appreciate you massively. I'm sorry to end this video on such a sour note, but hey, I've been pushed to this point. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and I appreciate you spending your time with me. Thank you and goodbye.